40% of expat moves to Mexico fail. That's like 10 grand plus in moving expenses down the freaking drain and a one-way ticket back home. But here's what no one tells you. It's not about money or your Spanish language skills. Really, it comes down to your personality. Some people are just wired to be miserable in Merida, no matter how good the tacos are. I'm about to show you the 6 types of expats who consistently crash and burn living here. If you recognize yourself in any of these, you'll either need to prepare differently or pick a different paradise to move to. Hey expats, I'm Marco Sison with Nomadic Fire with another fact-filled video guide to living your best life abroad. We bring you the best updated intelligence on expat life in different cities and countries overseas. With us, you get the unique perspective of having one source to compare, contrast, and catch life in the best retirement hotspots around the world. Let's start with type number 1. Since a lower cost of living is one of the primary reasons expats move to Merida, let's start with money, and specifically not having enough. Which brings us to type 1, the fixed budget expat. If you're living off of Social Security or pension, you're going to want to pay attention to this one, the fixed budget expat. You know this person, they've done the math down to the freaking penny. They're planning on living off of Social Security or just a modest pension. These are folks who need every dollar to stretch as far as possible, and they're banking on Mexico to make their retirement dreams actually work. Look, I get it. The internet sold them on this paradise on a shoestring idea. They saw all these living like royalty on $850 a month articles. Heck, I even wrote one of those back in 2021. But these folks calculated that their fixed income could actually give them a good life here. Cheap rent, affordable health care, lower priced street food, it all looked perfect on paper. But here's the gut punch. Those budget guidelines are now pretty much complete fairy tales. That guide I mentioned from 2021, promising life for under $850, well, our latest guide on the cost of living in Merida recommends nearly double that amount. Why? Well, look, inflation has gone up everywhere, and Merida is not an exception. Especially as the city has seen its population grow by over 20% in the last decade. I mean, this place is getting a huge influx of both expats and Mexicans from other states to move here. And more people means more demand and higher prices. And housing prices are the biggest culprit, with Merida seeing jumps of roughly 15% a year. And rising costs can absolutely wreck expats on a fixed budget. In fact, a recent study of 181,000 expats found that higher cost of living was one of the top 3 reasons why expats give up and move home. And here's your first insider tip. Housing can make or break your budget. And I've seen expats overpay by 40 and sometimes even 60% on their first rental here because they don't understand what gringo pricing is, or they just don't understand how the rental market works here in Mexico. When you're on a fixed budget, those kind of mistakes can sink your entire plan. And those affordable medical costs, well, quite frankly, they're rising too. Here's how to avoid becoming another casualty. First, you're going to want to build probably roughly a 20% inflation buffer into whatever budget you think you need. Can't afford that 20% buffer? Well, I'm going to recommend you delay your movement. The expats here who thrive came here with more money than they need. Second, master the housing market before you arrive. Don't rent anything sight unseen, and don't rent through those expat Facebook groups. Everything there is pretty much overpriced. You're going to want to learn some basic Spanish rental phrases and understand how Mexican rentals actually work. I've got a whole video about avoiding rental traps and gringo prices, and this video could literally save you hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars a month. I'm going to put the link down below. But the key is starting in neighborhoods where gringo pricing hasn't jacked everything up yet. That's type 1. But what about retirees who think their money's handled, but forgot about literally getting around town? Meet type number 2, the mobility challenged expat. These are folks in, let's say, their 70s or 80s, or people using walkers or canes, or maybe even someone in a wheelchair. They're dreaming of an easy, active golden years, strolling through colorful markets, exploring charming colonial streets, kind of living that postcard retirement life. And I totally get the appeal. Merida looks perfect. Sunny weather year-round, way cheaper than assisted living back home, and healthcare that costs a fraction of US prices. All those Beautiful pictures of people kind of wandering through the local markets and plazas, and it seems like an ideal place to age gracefully and stay active. But here's what nobody warns you about. Every single step in this city can feel like a freaking risky adventure. The sidewalks here are filled with cracked concrete, some missing sections, there's going to be uneven slabs on the sidewalk. Everything here is going to kind of test your balance like some sort of demented yoga training. And those charming cobblestones, try navigating them with a walker. I mean, you're basically guaranteed to twist an ankle. Wheelchair users, forget it. There's no ADA codes here. Most shops and sidewalks aren't built with accessibility in mind. And even newer buildings are hit or miss. Ramps, railings, and elevators, look, they're just not the norm here. You're going to want to change your thinking to think of narrow entries, tight alleyways, and random uneven steps. Then you'll be closer to reality. Then we got to talk about seasonal flooding, because from May to October, heavy storms turn entire neighborhoods into bloody rivers. Over 20 areas here are high-risk flood zones. And when your mobility is already limited, flooded streets are going to turn a simple trip to the pharmacy into a nightmare. But here's how to make it work. First, location is absolutely everything. You need areas with newer construction, better sidewalks, and higher elevation to avoid flood zones. A lot of neighborhoods up north may fit your bill. Now, before you move, you're going to want to walk every route you want to take daily before committing. Check out the pharmacy, the grocery store, all the clinics you're going to go to. If you can't reachly safe them, just keep looking. Second, build up your support network before you need it. The successful mobility challenged expats I know, they don't tough it out alone. They lined up house cleaners, delivery services, and reliable contacts from day one. All right, money and mobility are covered. But what about expats who show up expecting everything to work exactly like back home? Oh boy, meet type number 3. It isn't like this back home expat. And you know this person. They're wanting lightning fast internet, ice cold AC, and power that never blinks. I mean, they're the type of person that's going to get anxious if their Wi-Fi goes down for about 5 minutes and they start panicking about missing an important work call. These are folks that are going to need everything to be reliable and familiar. Mérida's marketing makes it look like paradise with modern conveniences. You see beautiful colonial homes with gorgeous swimming pools, fast internet for digital nomads, and modern amenities at Mexican prices. It seems like you can have the best of both worlds. Old world charm, yet kind of this modern world reliability. But then reality hits when the power goes down during a thunderstorm and stays out for hours. We're talking about no AC, no internet, and no idea when it's coming back on. And this happens regularly during the rainy season. And we're not talking about just quick flickers, but outages long enough to melt your groceries and turn your living room into a freaking sauna. I've spent whole afternoons sweat-soaked and cursing at my dead laptop while CFE crews scramble to fix another down power line or fry transformer. And trust me, these outages don't care about your big Zoom call or that urgent email you need to send. And it's not just electricity. Plumbing is a whole nother issue here. And it's not the fact that you can't drink the water in Merida or that the water here is so hard it literally clogs up faucets and showers regularly. I mean, those issues are tolerable. But let's talk about bathrooms, because this one shocks every new expat. In most of Merida, you cannot flush toilet paper. And that's not a cultural thing. It's the plumbing here. It just can't handle it. Merida doesn't have a central sewer system similar to what most expats are used to back in the US. And toilet paper here flushes directly into its septic tank, and the plumbing here, especially in older historic buildings, gets easily clogged. Instead of flushing toilet paper, you're supposed to kind of throw the TP in this little tiny trash can that sits next to the toilet. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit awkward at first, and you get used to it, mostly. But here's how to survive. First, bring patience and back up everything. Invest in a good power bank, even a portable power supply, and another mobile hotspot. Accept the fact that reliable here means different things than what might mean back home. Second, invest in a bidet or potentially an Asian-style bum gun. So I've established that infrastructure here is kind of unpredictable, but at least the weather's always sunny and perfect, right? Well, about that.
And if you want more tips like these, join our Expat Insights Facebook group for your insider's guide to living abroad. Our community is where you connect, share, and discuss real expat life overseas. No clickbait videos or filtered Instagram posts here, just unbiased truth from people who made the leap. Click below to join, because life's too short to wonder, what if?
Type 4, the heat-phobic expat. These are the folks dreaming of escaping cold winters, picturing endless pool days, and perfect sunshine. Maybe they visited Mexico in January and thought, whoa, this is paradise. They swear they're ready for, a little bit of heat, but they've never actually lived through a true tropical summer. You know, those Instagram shots from Merida that look like heaven, with the perfect blue skies and people lounging by the pools, tanning in that golden Mexican sun? Well, no more shoveling snow, no more winter coats. They just imagine sipping coffee on sunny patios and soaking up that tropical dream life year round. Here's what those pretty pictures don't show. Merida has two basic seasons, summer and super summer. I mean, we're talking heat that will just smack you in the face the moment you step outside. The thermometer here hangs above 100 degrees for months at a time. May averages around 97 degrees, but when you add in the humidity here, it's like wearing a wet wool blanket all freaking day. Jump on any Merida expat group here and you'll find tons of comments about expats complaining about the heat. And just about everyone knows someone who left Merida because living here felt like being inside an incinerator. And listen, I'm saying this as someone who grew up on a tropical island. I've lived all around the freaking world, all over Southeast Asia, and tons of places that are considered hot. And even I was shocked. There's no shade in this concrete jungle. There's no tall buildings, no tree-lined streets to cool this place down. Those dreams of wandering colorful markets, well, you're going to be glued to the AC anytime after 10 a.m. And that electrical bill is no joke. Cooling just one room in my house cost me well over $100 a month at high season. Thinking you're going to cool off by the pool? Well, once the real heat hits, even the water there feels like a hot bath. Oh, and that expat study I referred to in the first section, well, it had weather and climate as one of the top 10 reasons expats give up and move home. Here's the heat check. If you start grumbling when it hits 85 degrees Fahrenheit back home, Merida is gonna break you. Heat isn't just uncomfortable here, it changes your entire routine and your quality of life. But if you can handle it, budget serious money for AC costs and plan your life around staying cool during the brutal summer months. Some folks adjust, but plenty pack their bags for somewhere with more breeze. Tropical heat's one thing, but what about the wildlife that comes with the tropical paradise? Enter type number 5. Type 5 is the bug-phobic expat. You know this person. Well, maybe that person's even you. But they're the type of person that's gonna jump 3 feet in the air anytime they see something with more than 4 legs. They'd rather sleep with the lights on than risk a surprise visit from anything that's kind of creepy and crawly. For someone like that, Merida's basically a living nightmare. These folks pictured warm tropical nights on their patio, maybe some cute geckos, and living in harmony with nature. Nobody warned them about the reality of living with tropical wildlife. They saw the beautiful homes, the gardens, and they didn't want to think what it actually lives in that lush environment. And here's what bites you. Let's start with the mosquitoes. Merida has over 15 species of mosquitoes, and locals call them monsters for good reason. They'll bite through your shirt, and they'll leave you scratching up welts for days. And it's not just about itchy bites. From June to October, during the rainy season, these mosquitoes carry dengue, Zika, and all kinds of other ugly viruses. Now, you're not just swatting bugs, you're starting to get stressed about getting sick every time you want to sit outside. And mosquitoes are only the start. You'll also get scorpions sneaking out from under rocks and in the dark corners. Spiders, including black widows, are going to be setting up shop wherever they damn well please. And cockroaches, they're going to make you want to check your bed every night. I'll never forget Sandra waking me like 3 a.m. whacking a 6-inch millipede with a flip-flop. It sounded like she dropped a bowling ball in the house. As one expat put it, don't ever forget, We are living in the middle of a jungle, and stubborn Mayan and Spanish people insisted on building a city where there should be nothing except nature. Here's the reality check. If you freak out about a spider in the bathroom in the US, Merida's critters were going to push you quickly past your limits. Your dream house quickly becomes a bug battleground. You're going to start checking shoes every night, shaking out towels, and keeping bug spray at arm's reach constantly. This isn't the place for anyone wanting to keep nature at arm's length. Either you need to make peace with your six-legged neighbors or choose someplace less tropical. And bugs are one thing. But what about expats who need everything to be peaceful, quiet, predictable, and on schedule? Well, that brings us to our final type. Bugs, heat, infrastructure problems, but surely you can find some peace and quiet to deal with all that, right? Well, if you need life to be predictable and controlled, Houston, we got a problem. Type 6, the control freak expat. These are folks who live by the clock, hate waiting, and expect everything to be quiet and orderly. They want punctual meetings, peaceful neighborhoods, and schedules that actually mean something. They're the type of person who gets stressed out when plans change or when unexpected noise disrupts their routine. These controlling types, well, they pictured quiet retirement days, maybe napping in some hammocks, and some peaceful colonial charm. They imagined serene courtyards and kind of tranquil haciendas. Plus, they figured they can schedule the perfect retirement lifestyle and have control over their daily routine in this affordable paradise. Welcome to a city of nearly 1 million people, where quiet doesn't exist and on time is just a suggestion. From about 5 a.m., you're going to start hearing church bells to street vendors with microphones, or even surprise fireworks or roosters crowing. The noise here never stops. Americans often call this noise pollution. But locals here, they hear something completely different. They hear celebration, connection, and tradition. One local here mocked about an expat calling the police on their neighbor's loud party. Look, they said a gringo voice in the middle of the night reporting on a noisy party is not an emergency for the police call center. For a Yucatecan, his humble home is the only space on earth where he can make whatever he pleases. And we're a very festive, happy community. We enjoy life. We will party. And if you're the type who hates being kept waiting, punctuality here can feel frustrating or even disrespectful. Appointments here are, well, they're more general guidelines than any kind of strict rules. If any of your friends or anyone kind of tells you, hey, let's meet at 7 for dinner, well, that could mean anywhere between 7:15 or 7:59. It's still considered 7, más o menos. And you're going to quickly learn the word ahorita, which literally means right now. But locals, man, they can use it for anything from in a minute or to whenever I get around to it or just sometime later. So if someone says they're going to do something ahorita, don't expect it immediately. It means it's flexible. I once shown our landlord about how one of our bathroom faucets leaked, and it wasn't anything terrible. It was just kind of this annoying drip every few seconds that kept us up at night. Well, he said someone would get over right away to fix it ahorita. So I cleaned out my schedule and I sat by the door. Hours later, no sign of anyone. Turns out, ahorita was just a polite way of saying, maybe someday. Americans call this chaos, locals call it life. And when expats complain, they're quickly reminded that you adapt to the culture, not the other way around. So here's how to survive. First, bring earplugs and learn that flexibility isn't optional. It's basic survival here. So build up a buffer time into everything and just embrace the fact that plans will change. Second, shift your mindset from controlling your environment to just kind of flowing with it. As guests here, we adjust to the country, not the other way around. Expats who thrive here stop fighting the culture and just kind of enjoy the spontaneous celebratory nature of Mexican life. If you absolutely need peace, quiet, and predictable routines, man, I don't know if Mexico's your place. But here's what's wild about all this. This is the part most people never figure out. Every single one of those personality types, they can actually succeed living in Merida. I've seen heat-phobic people learn to love the rhythm of tropical life. I've watched control freaks discover that flexibility made them even happier rather than rigid schedules. Even bug-phobic expats now laugh at their gecko roommates. So what separates the ones who make it from the 40% who quit and go home? It's not money, it's not language skills, It's not even how well you handle bugs or heat. It's whether you can be honest about who you are before you move. The expats who succeed, they'd identify their potential breaking points and plan for them. The ones who fail, well, they hope their personality would magically change once they moved here. So here's my challenge for you. Which of these 6 types made you squirm a little bit? Because that uncomfortable feeling, that's your brain telling you something important. If you're thinking, I could never handle those bugs, or I definitely need my AC to work perfectly, listen to that voice. It's not being negative, it's probably being realistic. And realistic preparation is what separates successful expats from making expensive mistakes. Tell you what, drop a comment right now and tell me which type of expat hit closest to home for you. Are you recognizing yourself in any of these, or do you think you found your potential breaking point? I read every comment and I'm curious which one resonates with you the most. And if this video saved you from making a $10,000 mistake, hit that like and subscribe button because I've got way more insider truth about expat life here in Mexico that nobody else will tell you about straight. Until next time, hasta luego from Mexico.